If you are interested in how to create engraving details on the model inside Substance Painter, this tutorial is for you. And before jumping to the video itself, let me introduce you the brand new course that we released for Substance Painter. Learning Substance Painter is easier than ever. Hey all Substance lovers, texture seekers, and awesome future artists. Welcome to Ultimate Course for learning Substance Painter from zero to hero. Ready to learn how to texture with different projects? Substance Master released a brand new course for those who want to learn to texture with Substance Painter. In this course, we cover from preparing the model to rendering different projects, different challenges. If you want to level up your skill in texturing, come and check the Substance Master Ultimate course for learning Substance Painter. Okay, let's start the process. For the first step, I'm going to load the 3D model into 3ds Max. And as you can see, I decide to have two different texture sets or material to separating the work area inside Substance Painter for leather straps and the armor itself. And as you can see, our shape is symmetrical, so we can slice it from the middle and use overlap technique for the UV. And it could help us to increase the speed and improve our workflow inside Substance Painter when we are working on texturing part. So let's do that. And now I'm in the Substance Painter and import just half of the model. And as you can see, the 2D view is super clean, so the UV layout is okay. And we have two different texture sets. That's great. And now we are going to bake it. And after baking the mesh maps, we can just click and drag and release the model with the full aspect into the viewport and press OK. And as you can see, we have the full model inside the Substance Painter with the mesh maps on the model. Okay, and the first step is focusing on the leather strap section. And I'm going to create two fold lever and make a mask. I use anchor point for increased speed and accuracy in the mask. I use bronze armor for the metal section. It's a very good and useful smart material. And for the leather part, I use a smart material that you can download it from the link in the description and use it in your projects for free. In the smart material, you can go here, add your stitches here, layer, and use the path tool and the top stitching brush and add the detail on your model very easy and very fast. I'm going to add the details and we can continue our process. And after tweaking the smart material parameters and adding the stitches on the surface, this is the result that we can achieve. And after doing these all steps, let's go and add the final touch for this section. I'm going to add a paint layer here and call it effect and call it effect. Okay, and change the blending mode to pass through and apply it to all channel. And now I'm going to add filter and duplicate it 2 times. And now I'm going to add sharpen filter, okay, and change the intensity to something like 0.5. And for the second filter, I'm going to use height to normal and just keep the normal on and turn off use word unit and change the intensity, for example, from 10 to 5. And this is the result. After doing this, we can see the wrinkles on the surface. And for the last part, I'm going to add Matte FX HPAO, and this filter can help us to bring more reality to our material because we can add all the details and ambient occlusion that we add to the surface very easy and very fast. So let's keep the AO just here and play with the radius and height, and we can go to the ambient occlusion channel to check the result that we have here. Okay, so we are done, and let's go for the armor itself. Okay, now it's time to focus on engraving on the details. Okay, now it's time to focus on engraving details on the surface. So let's do that. Okay, now it's time to focus on the finding resources for our process. And I just came here to the Google image and search about the engraving design and found some great resources. For example, this one, but it's not suitable for our work because we need black and white for the alpha. So I just grab this and go to the Photoshop. And now we are in the Photoshop. So for the first step, we need to add black and white field. I just added, and you can play with the slider like yellow here to manipulate the pixels on the screen. That's great. I'm happy with the result. And now it's time to add the levels on the layers. Okay, now with the levels, we can manipulate again and bring the picture to something like this. And now it's time to invert the whole image. So I'm going to use the invert filter, and we are done. And as you can see, I just search about some image and resources and bring it to the Photoshop and use the same method to create the alpha that I need for creating engraving details on the model in Substance Painter. So let's do that. Let's go to the Substance Painter. Okay, let's create the first layer. I'm going to create a fill layer and call it the border. I just need to have height here, and let's put the negative value here, for example, like negative 0.2. And let's add a black mask. And after that, let's just add a paint. And now I go to the polygon field, use UV chunk, and select this area related to the border. Okay. Like this. And that's great. But for this area, we couldn't use the UV chunk, so let's approach it in a different way. I'm going to add a fill layer, increase the whiteness to 1, change the blending mode to linear dodge, and let's go to the mask 2D view and change the UV wrap to none, and just place this line like this. Okay, I think we are done right now. Let's go to the 3D view, and yeah, we just need to adjust this size here. And I think we are done. That's great. Okay, so for the first detail, I'm going to add the lines on the border. So let's add another fill layer called strip pattern here. Change the pattern to 35, for example. Change the tiling to something like 5. Okay, we have the small lines here. Change the blending mode to multiply, so we can control the lines inside the mask that we created before. And let's increase the shift to 20, and let's decrease the width. Okay, so we are done, and let's go back to the viewport, and yeah, they have this effect. It's okay. Let's duplicate this fill layer, put it on top, and just change the position, because I want to have a line after this strip pattern. Okay, to close the detail like this. I'm going to duplicate it again, bring it down in here. So we are done, and I'm going to add circle pattern here, but we need to close it again. So let's duplicate the fill layer and bring it up. I think this position is good, and let's go for the next one. Okay, yeah, I think this one is good. This position is good. That's great. So let's add another fill layer and call the circle inverted gradient. And I'm going to bring up the hardness, bring down the balance, change the UV wrap to none, change the scale. Okay, reposition the mask. And the most important thing is change the blending mode to linear dodge, so we can have a combination between these patterns. Okay, that's great. I'm going to place it like this, and we can change the UV wrap to repeat vertically or horizontally. It depends on which one is better for us. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to duplicate it with a smaller size, bring it up, and we are done. Okay, we have a nice detail here, and we are going to repeat it over here. So let's duplicate it with Ctrl D again, put it here. That's great. And the small circle, we can duplicate it again, bring it up. Okay, so the position is good, but we need to adjust the line up here. Okay, that's great. So we have the detail on the surface like this on the both sides because we are using the overlap technique. Okay, so we are total done here. Let's add a filter like blur to avoid any aliasing effect on the edge. So the amount is too much. Let's go for the 12. I think it's okay. And I'm going to control the mask with the paint. Let's change the blending mode to subtract. Again, I use UV chunk and select all the UV island and deselect this too. So we just have the border in here, and we need to select these ones too because we need to have the effect here too. Okay, like this. So we are good to go to the next layer and create other details. Okay, now it's time to focus on the engraving detail on the armor surface. So for avoiding any complexity for creating mask, I'm going to create 3 different paint layers and rename it to M1, M2, and M3. So for these 3 layers, we can call it mask holder because we are going to create the mask for each part. For example, for front piece of the armor, I'm going to use the M1 mask, and for the shoulder part, I'm going to use M2 mask. And after that, we can have all the mask inside one layer, one fill layer with the parameter that we want, and recall all the mask from these 3 mask layers with the anchor point. Okay, like this. So I'm going to add the black mask, add anchor point here, and again for this one, add black mask, add anchor point, and again add black mask and anchor point. So we have engraving layer, okay, and add the black mask, and we have 3 different fill layer, and in each fill layer we just load the M1, M2, and M3, the mask holders layer, okay, and change the blending mode to linear dodge. So we can have a combination between each mask and we avoid the complexity in the mask layers. Okay, so it's super simple, it's super easy. So let's create one of them, and I'm going to stop the video, add all the design, and we can continue the process. Okay, let's go and focus on the front piece. So I'm going to add a paint layer, and all the details and all the layers that we are going to add, it should be before the anchor point because we are going to recall all the layers before the anchor point here, not after anchor point. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to select the area that I want to work. So let's go to the polygon field and select this area. Okay, so we are going to work here, but it's better to subtract the area that you don't want to have from all the details that you have. So basically, we are going to select all the UV islands, okay, and deselect the area that you want to work on it and change the blending mode to subtract. In this way, whatever you want to add here, it's not going to show anywhere else except this area that you want, okay? So it's super easy, super fun. So for the first, I'm going to add this layer, the T1 mask, okay? Super great. And let's change the UV wrap to none. And I'm going to fix the position like this. Okay, it's great. And I think this position is great. So is it done? No, it's not done because I want to have some details in here and some details in here. Okay, and let's see what we have inside the material mode. Okay, so we have the details, everything is good, and we can continue our work. That's great. Let's go back to the M1 area, and I'm going to add a level because we don't want to have to gray color here. So we can play with the slider that we have on the level to increase the quality on the masking area. That's great. Let's go and add the other details. Okay, and now I'm going to duplicate the T1. Let's change the blending mode to linear dodge. Okay, let's go to the 2D view. And I'm going to use this kind of pattern here, like this. But we can have combination between the mask. It's super easy to create complex mask with the small pieces. You just need to have, for example, a paint layer, change the blending mode to subtract, and go to the paint mode, increase the hardness of your brush, and remove the area that you don't want to have conflict with the first mask or first layer. Like this, we are going to use this technique and this kind of mask combination a lot. Okay, so before that, we just have two different patterns combining together, okay, without any logic. But with this layer and paint over the area that you don't want, it's like it's a unique and the perfect combination between two patterns. Okay, so I'm going to use this logic so much here, and let's go and fix this pattern on the surface, and let's see what we have. Okay, and now you can see the result. Okay, this pattern is the extended one, and we can see it on the model too. That's great. And you cannot find out, okay, this is not related to the design, it's separate layer. So we just blend two patterns with the paint in a subtraction mode and adjust it to have a best combination between two patterns. Okay, let's add another one here and here. Okay, now this is the final design that I need for the front piece. Let's break down. Okay, the first one is T5. It's a connection between the upper part and the downside. The paint is going to remove some area of the T5, and the T2 is the upper mask. So we can remove the some area again here like this to have a clean connection, and we can decrease the opacity to something like 70. Okay, that's too much good. And we have a level, that's great. And we have a T1, that's fine. We have a paint to remove some area here. We have T1 again for the middle part, and we have a level, and at the ends we have a paint layer to control the mask area. And that's it. This is the way that we can create the mask for each part. So I'm going to create all the mask here, and after that we can continue our work to create the material for the armor section. Okay, now we are done with the mask and all the engraving details on the surface. As you can see, we have 4 different mask holder, and the M4 is for this area, the M3 is for the back, as you can see, and the M2 is for this area, and we use the paint subtraction mask for blending 2 different patterns as we do for the M1 section. And I just add another layer, and I name it push up engraving layer. And it's like I just paint on the details to have some differences in the height on the surface, because I have a flat surface here. So I just need to add some attraction point on the surface. So this layer for this purpose, that's great. And let's go for surface creation. And for material creation, we can use smart materials from the Substance Painter library. The silver armor, okay, I just added, but all the details gone because we need to go to the height and change the blending mode to linear dodge. And now we have all the details on the surface. So let's add a detail layer like dirt, add a black mask, add generator, and just add the dirt generator. And in the macro height, I'm going to recall the engraving layer mask, And in the macro details, just turn on the macro height like this, and we can play with the AO depth, AO reduce, and this kind of stuff. And okay, just keep the color and roughness like this. We can go with the dark color, and I'm going to change the blending mode to the soft light and change the opacity to something like 15. Okay, and play with the roughness like this. Okay, we can change the opacity of the mask too, and we can increase the grunge amount, grunge scale, and dirt level to achieve the effect that we want. And let's add another fill layer, and I'm going to call it carving color, and add a black mask, and just load the anchor point related to engraving layer. Okay, that's great. And we just need to have color, roughness, and the metallic. Metallic should be 0, and the roughness should be something like 0.8, and the color can be more dark. Okay, that's great. And we can change the blending mode in the color from normal to soft light to achieve this result. Okay, and I think the dirt is too much, so we can decrease the level. And yeah, we are done. As you can see, we have all the details on the surface, and we can add more layers like edge effect and this kind of stuff. But this is the end of the tutorial. I hope you like it. If you learned something new, please hit the like button, share your mind in the comment section, and subscribe our channel. Be creative. Bye.